Hello everyone and welcome. Today we are presenting the maths problem of the week, and this week I want to combine my love of music with my love of maths. Now, I know a lot of people out there that tell me they love music. They love listening to music, they love playing musical instruments, they love singing, but they tell me they don't like maths. And to me, that doesn't make a lot of sense. If you are someone that does play music, or if you're someone that sings, you might look at sheet music. And if you look at sheet music, you do a lot of unintentional maths. What do I mean by this? Well, on your sheet music, you will see musical notes, and all of the musical notes you see have a numeric value. You need to know how long to hold them on for, and you need to know if it makes sense in a musical bar or a musical phrase. If you know what musical notes look like and what their values are, you can already go straight to the maths problem. However, if you don't worry. I'm going to go over it with you so you can take part in this week's maths problem. So, what notes do you need to know for a maths problem? The first note is a semibreve, and that's worth 4. Under that is a minim, which is worth 2. And under that is a crotchet, which is worth 1. Now, in music, if you add a dot after any musical note, you add on half of the original value of the note. For example, here I have a dotted minim. A minim is worth 2. Half of 2 is 1. And 2 plus 1 is 3, which is why a dotted minim is equal to 3. Now, with this information only, you can take part in any level of challenge of this week's maths problem, and you can do as many or as few as you like. In our mild problem, I want you to figure out the value in total of the 3 notes that we have here. After that, I want you to use a different combination of notes to make the same value. What do I mean by this? So, I said that a semibreve is worth 4. What would be another way to show 4? Well, we could do 4 crotchets, because they're worth 1 each. So if we had 4 of them, that's worth 4. That's what I want you to do for our mild problem. In our medium problem, I want you to do the same, but with this combination of notes. So I want you to find out the total value of all the notes altogether, and then show me a different set of notes that give the same value. And in our hot problem, the same again. With this combination of notes, I'd like you to tell me the total value and give me another set of notes that give you the same value. And that's it. So, I will have a screen for you to pause and take your time and come up with your answers. And after that, you will see all the solutions. So, I'll see you in a moment. Now, I would like you to pause and take your time, and I will be back with the solutions. Welcome back. So, you have paused, you have taken your time, and you have figured out the answer to the level of challenge or challenges you wish to complete. So, let's go over our mild problem first. We need to figure out what these 3 notes are worth altogether. And actually, we have the numbers that we need all over here. Our first note was the semibreve, which we remember is worth 4. Our second note is the crotchet, which we know is worth 1. The last note was a dotted minim. Now remember, a dot after a note adds on half the value of the original note. So you can either see that that's 2, half of 2 is 1, and add them together to make 3, or if you look at the very bottom, we already know that answer. So we know that we have 4, 1, and 3. What do all those numbers together make up? 4, add 1, add 3, makes 8. So the answer to our mild problem is 8. Now there are a couple of different ways to show the number 8 using different notes. We could use 2 semibreves, we could use 4 minims, we could use 8 crotchets, we could do 2 dotted minims and a minim, 2 dotted minims and 2 crotchets. There are quite a lot of combinations. So as long as your combination equals 8, you have done the mild problem perfectly. Now let's move on to our medium problem. In our region problem, we have more notes and more dots to contend with. Our first note is a semibreve, but it has a dot after it. What was our rule about dotted notes? Adding a dot to a note adds on half of the note's original value. So the original note is worth 4. What's half of 4? Or what's 4 divided by 2? That's 2. What's 4 add on to? That's 6. So this first note is worth 6. We then have a minim, which is worth 2. So 6 add 2 is 8. We then have a dotted minim, which remember is valued at 3. So 6 plus 2 is 8, plus 3 is 11. So we have 11 so far, and a crotchet left to add on. A crotchet is worth 1, so our total for these 4 notes is 12. And I'll write that here so we remember. Other ways that we could show 12. Well, we could use 3 semibreves. We could use 6 minims. We could use 12 crotchets. And lots of other combinations, including notes that are dotted. But let's move on to our hot solution. Now our hot solution was even more difficult because not only do we have to work with dotted notes, we also have to work with fractions when adding the numbers together. How do I know this? Well, what is a crotchet worth? 1. I have a dotted crotchet, and what's the rule when we add a dot to a note? We need to add on half of the value of the original note. What's half of 1? That's a half. So 1 plus a half is 1 1/2. So we'll need to work with fractions in our hot problem. But let's move to the beginning of our row of notes. Our first note is a semibreve, which we know is worth 4. Our second is a dotted minim, which we know is worth 3. Then we have the dotted crotchet, which I just went over. That's worth 1 1/2. So we have 4 plus 3 is 7, plus 1 1/2 is 8 1/2. After that we have a crotchet, which is worth 1. So 8 1/2 plus 1 is 9 1/2. And our last note is another dotted crotchet, which is worth 1 1/2. So 9 1/2 plus 1 1/2 is 11. And that is the answer to our hot problem. Now another way to show 11, we could have 2 semibreves plus a minim plus a crotchet. We could have 11 crotchets. We could have 5 minims plus a crotchet. Lots and lots of different combinations. So, how did you get on? Let me know in the comments below, and as always, take care and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye!